For me, most memorable event was the Olympics. Closing ceremony was 70,000 or something people. I myself did end up in a bad place, but I didn't want to tell anybody. Men don't talk.
Why are you crying? You're a boy.
Yeah. Sometimes the embarrassment of asking for help is the hardest thing.
What does strength mean to you now?
Resilience.
Hi, I'm Sonia. This is Real for Real, Behind the Scenes. Today I'm joined by Rees, founder of VP Bhangra, someone who's contributed a lot to society by fitness, dance, and culture. Let's go behind the scenes with Rees. Welcome, Rees. Welcome to Real for Real.
Thanks for having me.
When you look back, what was happening in your life when the Bhangra first came?
It's a long journey, 25-year long journey. Actually, my interest was, it all started from the dol drum.
Okay.
I was at a wedding one day and my dad took us to an event and I heard the sound of the dol and I was really young and I thought, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to play that. Yeah. So then I would pester up, parents, want to learn. I have a brother and he would do the same. So then eventually they at that time it was busy and we didn't really have many places near us. Over the years, we ended up getting a dol slowly. Then we didn't have anybody to teach us.
Yeah.
So he's like, how can we learn? So then me and my brother, we just started playing and started learning on our own, just experimenting with beats to Punjabi music. Like, it was like tapes that you just have to listen to,
tapes,
old school tapes and listen to the tapes. And then over the years, it was the struggle of always trying to, how can I learn the next beat or how can I play the next thing? So that's where it started from, where it was the passion for, the dol drum, which then naturally led into the next part. That's another story as well.
But before you do that, I want to ask, you said, so you got the dol and you started experimenting at home. Now, we all know how loud the dol could be. What did the neighbors say?
To be honest, the neighbors absolutely hated us because we were young. It was probably like 16, around 16-ish. And we didn't really we weren't, when you're that age, you're not aware of what's going to be really loud. And the dol, and we had two of them at home.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So after school, we would come and we would just play, for fun. We didn't really know what we was doing, but obviously the neighbors were having the worst time ever.
What about the parents though?
The parents, they tolerated it to a certain extent, and then they'll be like, "Oh, I see. You got to stop now. Enough's enough." With in Punjabi, you understand how that will come across.
Oh yeah, so, and with the weapons as well.
Everything. We got the flying chappals, everything. Those spoons, So, but at the same time, the neighbors, they weren't happy. Yeah.
Is there any story?
They tolerated it for a while, and then that's when we got a letter through the door, phone calls, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to take it to the council.
Really?
We're going to escalate it." And that's when the parents were like, "All right, now you got to
stop.
You got to calm down, otherwise they'll come and put like a meter in your house."
Yeah.
But at that point, it was just fun.
Just fun.
Yeah, because you're so young, don't really think of anything. But it was. It was fun trying to play, like say, me and my brother, we were quite competitive. Yeah. And then it was like, I want to learn more beats than him and he wants to learn more beats than me.
Yeah.
So it was a good fun little play. So it's all different now, but obviously over time.
Interesting. So how did you then transition to Bhangra?
I had a cousin of mine and he is from Punjab and he had interest in Bhangra, but he wasn't no professional or anything like that. So where we originally lived is in Leighton, and there was a very small community there of Punjabis. And they used to do like, families used to come together and they used to try to get the youngsters involved. So they had like a Gidda group with like little girls and, the older generation trying to teach but it was just families. It's like, just want to get out. So one day I was always on the hunt for someone to teach me the dol. So my cousin told me, "Oh, okay, come down. There's some superstar like teacher. So a star, you can say that's what you call it, a star. He's coming down and he will teach you." So as I went down, all the kids were quiet in the room and they were waiting. And I walked in and they were like, "Oh, is he
the teacher?
And I was like, "What are you talking about? Where's the teacher?" And the kids was like, "Are you the teacher?" So what he went and done is he told all the kids a teacher's coming to teach them, and told me a teacher's going to come and teach me.
Right.
But there was no teacher.
There was no teacher.
No teacher.
Right.
At that point. And then we just come and, I just played what I knew, what wasn't very much. And the kids just kind of got together, had a bit of fun. Then eventually someone from the older generation did come and kind of show us the basics of kind of Bhangra. But we were all so young. So that would probably say that's where my first step was into the dance.
And then when you started doing it, of course, you made slowly career out of it. Did parents support it?
I've never counted it as a career or anything like that. I've always called it my passion.
Yeah.
So I've always just followed the passion to do with music, with the instruments, and the dance came later on where I had 2 left feet. I couldn't dance to save my life. Never danced at weddings, never danced when I was young. It got to the point when I was playing the doll and then I went to the dancing. Then the dance was like, okay, what's the next? What do I do? And then, because at that time, especially where we was in the East, there was no teachers. There was no one really, very experienced that's from India, that's ready to teach Bhangra or the doll or anything like that. So I had to practice in the mirror.
Right.
Just whatever I knew, slowly practicing it. At that time when I'm interested and I'm trying to practice and kind of hone the skill of Bhangra and doll, and at that time that's all it's about. Parents always like study first.
Yeah.
And because at that time parents don't realize there's a hobby and then there's study and then you should do both and kind of be flexible. And there's stress and there's one stress, relieve the stress by doing something you enjoy. They were like I'd say more my dad, but it was, I'd say general parents at that time. They're all very similar. So it was more like study first. What are you going to do with this doll? What are you going to do with the dance? It's not,
you can't make money out of it.
You can't make money out of it. What's the point? Even, relations and extended people, family, they're like, what are you doing this for?
What are you doing? What are your son doing? That's what they say to your parents as well, isn't it?
Why are you doing this? Because as you know, not now, but back in the days, it wasn't considered the most best line to go in. But even to do it as a hobby, it wasn't seen as the thing to do. There's a long history behind that, as you know. But that's where the resistance was like, what are you doing that for?
Yeah. And was it both mum and dad both, or did one of them support you?
It was actually my mum that pushed me towards it because she really loved dance and she was involved in dance when she was young.
Wow.
And when she was young, she had, obviously that's a different generation.
Yeah.
And she wasn't able to progress because of that. And then obviously came to this country and everything changed. She had, us kids, and then life moves on. She wasn't able to fulfill that desire, of a hobby of dance.
Yeah.
So naturally, when she pushed myself, she was happy to see me do something that I enjoy.
Yeah.
So that was nice. My mum was pushing, but my dad was a little bit more towards, go in sports and do that, and which is understandable. I mean, I did enjoy that as well, but I just kind of naturally drifted towards more like the musical side of things.
Yeah. No, nice. Thank you for sharing that. Now that you touched on music as well, talk to us about your music production journey.
So when we was doing the doll stuff and then we was doing the dance, and then we always had the passion, let's make some music somehow.
Yeah.
Let's try to get some songs made or do something. We actually built our own studio because we thought that's the thing to do, but it was hard to hire at that point. And then we just invested, built our own studio, and then we found some singers. And luckily at that point of time, we had a singer that came from India that joined our team. And he was he'd done all right in India, but he didn't get that chance. But then he had come here.
Yeah.
So we kind of made a team where we had the singers and we had the writers and we started releasing some music. We started learning. Everything was learn as you go. It wasn't
it's always like that.
It's not like, we had time. We're going to spend many, many years. It's like, no, we want to do that. So we would just go, and then we'll learn as we go along. And we did over time. It was a lot of fun, but tragically, unfortunately, the actual singer that we was working with, he actually passed away. So that was very, very sad for him, his family. We had a lot of his material. Some of the materials probably is not released, probably won't never get released, but the other stuff, we just put it out there for him, his family at that time. So that was pretty difficult. So that kind of set us back. And then we kind of started moving into a different line as well. So we was juggling a lot of things at the same time, where had the dance, had the drumming side, and we had the music, and then we were doing a few other things. So it was a really fun journey. We did release music, but it was under the name of Gin and Rees, which was me and my brother. And we just put it on hold. So we never say, no, we've stopped. We just say it's on hold for now, and then we can come back to it at some time in the future. We do have some things still sitting there, but the journey was, it all came from the passion, passion from the drum, passion from
always
the dance.
The best way, yeah.
And then the natural progression was, let's make some music.
So when you did decide to put it on hold, what did that decision take away from you?
It was a decision. It was a calculated decision. It was more of a, like a financial type decision, because as the industry grew in the UK, it changed. And so now with any songs that you release, there's a lot of investment that needs to go in.
Yeah.
There's record companies, or you can do it yourself. We actually done everything ourselves. And obviously there was a considerable amount of investment to go. So then at that point we thought, the return is going to take longer and longer and longer. So we thought, let's try other things where we are getting that return right now.
Yeah.
So it's all a balance.
Yeah. No, nice. No, I know what you're trying to say, but when we do start something, or even when it starts growing, there's always a challenging path, We start, we stop, we self-doubt, we put a halt on. But you touched on doing other things. There are so many other things, I remember our conversation as well. Talk to me about other things that you were doing, and how was that phase when you were, figuring out what to do?
As well as doing these things, we went into like DJing, which was another natural progression, all connected to this. So then we had like a DJ company going at that time, which was pretty busy. And we had a lot of events, we had a lot of shows, we had a lot of bookings. We had a good team at that time. And that all took management. It took, hours. And then obviously you have only so many hours to do things.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of people, I say now, that do DJing, that do production, because it's natural. It fits together. At that point in time, we thought either we put attention there and then the money's coming, or we put them on the other side, but then we'll have to wait longer.
Yeah.
So it was like a conscious 100% decision at that time, but it was more, it just felt right at that time.
It just felt right at that time. So let me see. So you were doing Bhangra, you DJ.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something else, the music production.
Yes.
And then
also with the dancers, we at that time we had our weekly classes running.
Yeah.
But there wasn't so many at that point, but it still took some form of, management and time. And whilst we were doing all of that, I wanted to expand. So I was I want to do more. Included in this is the show. So one is, like the classes, dance, then go out to shows and get booking dates. And then it starts taking out more and more and more time. But I did, the reason why I done all of this is because I really enjoy it. So doing juggling like 5 separate things.
Yeah.
So in the events industry, when if you're going to book a wedding, what's the main thing you want to book? You're going to book the venues, you're going to book the catering, which is the food. It's a large scale type banqueting. So it's like outdoor banqueting, indoor banqueting, large scale. So we touched we actually did, is what we normally do. We just dived straight in, jumped straight in. Maybe we should have taken a little bit of time, but that consumed a lot of time. It was very solid. And then we learned how many hours go into that. Once you do that, it's very hard to do other things. So up until 2019, we added that onto the mix as well. Okay. So it was too much.
So you had so much going on.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. And as it's going well. It's going all right, outdoor. So everything's outdoor, everything's service-based, hospitality-based. And what happens? COVID.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So that was the next point where the hospitality businesses are, shut down.
It's terrible,
Service industry is on pause. So that was hard. Yeah, it was very, very difficult.
Oh, that must have been really challenging.
It was a challenging time.
Everything that you were doing just shut down because everything outdoor was closed, isn't it?
Yeah. So the government was changing their mind. The finance was, the financial side of it was very difficult as well.
I can imagine.
Because we were a new business, because we essentially bought into it and started, created it however we needed to do. But for us, it was a new business.
Yeah.
And then all the other business, like what we was doing together, was all service-based.
Yeah.
So that's where for us hit us the hardest, because it was COVID. So what you do, it was like something bad and then something very good at the same time. Because you don't realize when you're so into something and you're like, oh no, I don't really want to do this. Or I'm doing it too much, or that
gave you breathing space and space to think over
That's right. Needed that breather. So the breather was actually really good, because then you think, okay, now I can maybe start concentrating on myself a little bit. That's where health, wealth, looking into those types, getting more into the fitness, because I was into the fitness many, many years ago. Just general, looking after yourself. But then as you get busy in these kind of everything that we're doing, you don't really have time. You don't have time for yourself to kind of rest, and you're stressed out. And so that was the positive thing, I'd say, taking a step back to just look and overview. But that was a crazy time. So there's a lot happened in leading up to that.
But no, when you put so much into something and it falls apart, of course that gave you, as you said, positive, a breather. But again, somewhere it hurts. What kept you going?
The dance. The dance is the passion. So that's what I'll always lead with. It's the passion. I always said, when I was young, when I lose my passion for it, I lose the interest for it, I'll just stop overnight. So I thought, when I was younger, I'd just go to university, get your degree, then you just have a job, and you continue, have your 9 to 5. But I somehow didn't go down that route, because when I actually finished my degree and I wanted to go into finance, the market crashed. So I was looking to go, and I was like, okay, maybe I'll go into it later and I'll do this other stuff. So as I started doing it, I never went back, which I don't know. I guess it's a good thing, because maybe I wouldn't have enjoyed that, and I do enjoy this. So sometimes when there's a lot going on currently, and you're like, oh, it's a bit stressful. But I think when I look back, the word passion is always there, and that's what it's been, the kind of the arrow, to push me forward. But sometimes it is difficult, and you're like, oh, I need a break. But then, if there's a lot going on and I need a break, and then when it all quiets down, then I'm like, oh, what am I doing? I need to do something.
You need to do something.
What's the next step? What can we do?
No, thank you for sharing that. I know. So that's the positive thing. You said, Bhangra kept you going, the dance kept you going. But then you also touched on negative side of it. Would you say did it affect you mentally at all?
I mean, I'm going to be honest about it, because a lot of men don't really touch on this, I mean, men on the outside can be they can show themselves being very, strong, resilient. But internally, where we had a lot of stuff going on, you have to be strong, you got to be resilient. That's great. But if you don't look after your mental health and you don't know spiraling, you could end up in a really bad place.
Yeah.
So to a certain degree, I myself did end up in a bad place, but I didn't want to tell anybody. And it's only some parts of the family started noticing. One or two of my friends started noticing. And what happened is actually one of my close friends, he realized, and just something small going through, like a walk in the park, talking to your mate. These small things really, really helped. And it was someone close to me that made me realize. And that's when I thought, okay, men don't talk.
No.
Some men may do, but generally they wouldn't because of, society and what it's, how men are made to.
They are taught from their young childhood itself, isn't it? They are strong. Why are you crying? You're a boy.
Yeah.
So they are taught not to speak out
especially
loud.
in I'd say the Punjabi community.
Yeah.
Where if you cry, you're seen as weak, right?
Yeah.
But maybe that's general community.
That is general, not just in Punjabi families.
Yeah, probably not Punjabi, just general.
Just general, yeah.
But that's what I realized. And then slowly coming out of that took a little bit of time. But I would say you have to crash to know where to come back from it.
Yeah.
So, and that's, I would like to believe that, that's what I had to go through to get here, I guess, But I think the dance, the interest for it, actual dancing as well. So you can talk about dance, you can look at it, you can do the stuff, but actually doing it, whether you're good, whether you're bad, that helps. And even the drumming side of things, where if I'm playing the drum, that helps. There's a massive, I'd say, release. I wouldn't say the word trauma.
Yeah.
It's more to do with, like vibration, energy, just letting it all out. And I think a lot of people in our academy, that's where it helps a lot of people.
Yeah. What advice you would give to someone who's listening to us now and probably going through a similar thing, and being a man, they're not feeling comfortable, talking about it?
My advice would be that it happens to everybody. If you're wealthy, if you're struggling, if you're the top condition in the gym, whether you're not, everybody will go through it at some point of time. But if you do, and if you are going through it, seek some help.
Yeah.
So contact the people around you, your friends, your family, or join a hobby or pursue your interest.
Yeah.
Do something, get out, get about. Sometimes it can be hard when you're in that environment, when you don't want to do something. But that's the time where, if you have some people around you, talk to them, because
it's really important.
Yeah, because at that point, that's what helped me. And even seek some professional advice.
Yeah.
At that time, you might not realize, but further down the line, you'll look back and you'll be like, yeah, that's what helped me.
Yeah.
So it's just sometimes the embarrassment of, asking for help is the hardest thing.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just got to move to the next stage.
Yeah.
Push the barrier.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what my advice would be. Just step out.
Yeah. Now, thank you for sharing that. Really appreciate it. Not everyone opens up, so we really appreciate you opening up. Let's talk about your Bhangra and the community you built around it. So Bhangra, as we all know, wasn't always as inclusive as it is today. From what you've seen, what difference do you see what it used to be and what it is today?
Looking back, when I started, it wasn't really an industry at that point in time. Music wasn't really seen as something serious that you could do. It was very much of a hobby, and it was a very small thing. 25 years later, it's got different aspects to it. It's like more facets to it, meaning you can go down, let's say if you now become an artist and you're a singer, and you become famous and people like you, you can do very well. If you go into the DJ industry and again, you do things the right way, you could do very well.
Yes.
And even if you have a professional job and you become an instrument player, you're a door player, you can have some good income coming on the side.
Yeah.
So it's changed how it used to be, but the perception mainly has changed.
Right.
So the perception before was just seen from the previous generation is not good. So for whatever reason, it wasn't seen as not a good thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Over the years, when I'd say education has helped a lot, when people in this country, and not just in this country, I'd say in other countries as well, overall, the perception has changed from the next generation, the younger generation, where the interest, they realize it's more to do with fitness, it's to do with health, wealth, it's to do with something you enjoy. It's also a hobby. And a lot of when, say, people dance in general, they go to universities, they get professional jobs, they feel that, oh, I'm missing something. I really used to enjoy that when I was at university or before I got married.
Yeah.
After they get married or they go to university, they're like, oh, I'm missing that. I want to go back to it.
Yeah.
So whether they're a surgeon, whether they're a dentist, whether a solicitor, lawyer, it doesn't make a difference whether you're working in a coffee shop, if you're in a store, it doesn't matter. Everybody's the same. When you get together, you're all the equal level playing field. And it's all about then happiness.
Yeah.
Letting everything out. Any stresses you have in your day, anything you had at work, you had fight with your family members, anything like that, you just let it all out.
Let it all out.
Yeah.
The difference that you're saying, what Bhangra used to be, what's now, what I would like to specifically ask, Bhangra, I think we saw more boys, in early days in there.
That's a good point.
Yeah, but now I think girls are also stepping into it. What has changed?
I think massively, it was seen as to be very masculine.
Yeah.
So Bhangra was, it's only for boys because the girls shouldn't be doing it because when they dance a certain way, it's not.
Yeah. It's the dignity thing they used to think, isn't it?
It's not very girly-like.
Yeah.
And as over the years it's changed, the perception has changed with it. No, now Bhangra is for everybody.
For everybody.
Any colour.
Yeah.
Any religion. Any gender.
Yeah.
So that's what I mentioned before. When you get together, you're all the same. So over the years, the main thing is what I've seen is the perception that's changed from the next generation. And now the parents are a little bit younger and they want their children. They want their children, family members. The opposite happens now where if someone's younger, they're like, Mum, Dad, you have to come and join us.
Yeah. Okay.
So the opposite is happening now where they're pulling in their families and now we're getting families come together, which is really nice to see because that's how it's over the years, a nice community has built. Where we've noticed more of a change right now is in the elder generation. So now we've got 40s, 50s, and even 60s. Where the interest is, I would like to come. And when they come, they tell their friends. And then we've got a nice mixed group. We don't discriminate. So we always say it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Whatever your age is, just come and enjoy yourself. So that's leading into all of the other things that I was talking. So perceptions and definitely where that chauvinistic behavior is I would say a lot less as it used to be. Now you've got girls, some of them are amazing performers, amazing dancers, and some dance better than the boys.
Yeah.
So I would say the balance has changed for the better.
Now, you touched on, people coming for all different reasons. They come in carrying lots of different things in their minds. What do you think they carried? And by the time they leave from there, what has shifted?
I mean, a lot of our classes are after work.
Right.
So majority of people work, so they come and they work. But you don't know what that person has carried in the daytime. Yeah. You don't know how stressful their journey has been. You don't know what their family issues they've had. So mainly for us, what I see is if somebody's in the class, in the beginning, they might be a bit serious, you know. Afterwards, when they've done the move, some of the movements are hard. So even if you're a beginner and you're trying to learn, for you, the movement might be a bit hard. Even in advanced class, it's the same. It doesn't really matter. But as you're doing the movements and slowly after releasing whatever you have inside of you, you can call it vibration, energy, whatever you want to call it. it's like a weight that you're holding. As soon as you let the weight go,
Yeah.
you feel better.
You feel better, you feel lighter.
You feel lighter. So it leads back into your, dopamine levels, endorphins, the vibration. So if you have good vibration, you're around good people, you automatically pick up the same vibrations.
Yeah.
So if we're operating on that level, that's automatically how you'll feel afterwards. Because we don't want anybody coming in, arguing, having issues and stuff. But 9 times out of 10, we'd like to think that they leave happy after the class.
Yeah. Is there a story that stayed with you?
Over the years, there's been so many stories.
Yeah.
I don't have any one in particular.
Okay.
But I have my own. My own story would be, let's say it was a long day. It was very stressful.
Yeah.
Things weren't going my way. And I didn't want to go to the class. I'm like, I don't want to go today. And I don't want to do anything because as the academy has grown, first I used to teach, I used to dance, I used to do it myself. And I used to enjoy that. And as it grew, then it becomes more about management and the more stressful side of things. And you have to make sure this has gone right and that's gone right. But as I've gone to it, I'm like, I can't be doing this today.
Can't be bothered.
I can't do it. Yeah, I can't be bothered. But I was like, no, that's what I mentioned beforehand. The passion, the arrow. Sometimes you just got to do it because you've started it. And you don't want to stop. Or you can't let yourself stop.
Yeah, yeah.
So I went to the class, being a bit moody. I'm not generally moody, but, felt a certain type of way. Stress gets everybody. After I played the drum, even for a short space of time, I just let it out and I felt amazing.
You felt amazing?
Yeah. So it was my own advice I took without knowing.
Yeah.
And after playing, I just felt, that was all that weight, all that stress all went by the end of the session. And then the next day I was like, back to normal again. I'd like to think there's many, many stories within our academy, within our community, and a lot's always going on within families, Some people are always dealing with certain issues. So this is why I was talking about mental health, where mental health doesn't choose whether you're a man or a woman.
Exactly. No, you're very right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyone that's going through it, and if they're coming to, let's just say, do something like you enjoy, like dance or the drum, because we do teach both.
Yeah.
Or if you like to perform and then we've got an event, it's all left there.
Yeah.
You just leave it there and then you move on. So that would probably be what my take on this would be.
So let's talk about kids.
Kids.
So you get lots of kids coming to learn Bhangra. And as you know, kids today, they live in different worlds.
Yeah.
So when they come in to learn, what do you notice when they first come in? What do you notice about them?
I mean, kids, what I've seen over the time, very sharp.
Yeah.
Kids are, I think intellect levels, or I don't know, generally, we're always talking about, kids when we're with the teachers, we're like, they're very sharp now. They pick up stuff a lot quicker. But sometimes attention span is not always there. Every kid is different.
Yeah.
For us, we just realize that the kids are normally, as they walk through, they love it. So they want to do it. This time, it's not like parents are saying, oh, no, you have to learn. Yeah. No, you go there and make sure you do it. It's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
It's the parents bring them because the parents saying, oh, my son or my daughter, they want to come and they've been pestering them for ages, and so they bring them.
Yeah.
So for the parents are like, oh, you're there in the class now, I'm going to relax.
Yeah, yeah.
And kids are kids at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So we can be strict, but then not too strict, because you have to let kids be kids. They have to enjoy it. They got to have fun. They're gonna.
Do they mess around?
Oh, of course they do.
They do.
Sometimes they drive the teachers nuts, but the teachers, the teachers all know that they're there for the right reason. For them, it's more like they are teaching to the next generation. That's the reason why we do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because we have now, not knowingly, not planned or anything. So the kids joined us. Some of the kids when they were 6 or 7, or a little bit older, 8. Now they're 18. Wow. 18. So these kids are now around about started teaching. So they joined us when they were young.
Yeah.
And then they've become part of the next generation.
Wow.
And now they're teaching the next generation. Alternatively, we have some members of ours that they've become parents. right? Young parents.
Okay.
And
That's amazing.
now they're bringing their children, their youngsters to us.
Interesting.
So it's a different roundabout moment for members. And also we have one of our teachers in the academy, he's got his family coming to the academy, but both his sons are now in the advanced team and they've actually performed together on stage.
Yeah.
So it's father and sons.
Yeah.
So for us, these are the things that matter.
That matters, doesn't it? Makes you feel proud, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the community, generational. Because I always said that even when I was younger, that if we don't do it, then who's going to do it?
Who's going to do it?
Yeah. So luckily enough, we've seen the community grow and we're very happy about that. But Bhangra in general, music, dance, the culture, that's what we call ourselves, VP Bhangra, Virsa Punjab.
Yeah.
The Virsa stands for the heritage.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to believe that we're continuing our heritage for next generation. And as you can see, superstars out there, Diljit, Karan, and there's many others. They are pushing the boundaries of Bhangra and dance. So it's helping the industry to grow. It's helping ourselves to grow.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we always keep our interest, the core interest we always had from day one, which is passion.
Yeah.
Follow your passion. Don't force yourself to do something if you don't want to do it.
No, that's
the number one thing that we always look out for. If somebody doesn't want to do something, we say you don't have to do it. But I think after 20 years, 25 years, I didn't think I'll be doing it this long.
Yeah, well, you're doing it.
But I'm still here.
You're still doing it.
So I don't think it's got any, the train hasn't got slower, it's actually got faster. And there's a lot more stuff that's going on. So I'm really happy about that.
Yeah. You touched on, doing events with someone like Diljit Dosanjh and Karan Aujla. How's that experience been?
The experience was actually amazing.
Yeah.
We done a few tours now with many of the artists, but I'd say the biggest tour we started with was Diljit's tour. His first tour in the UK. Actually, all his tours that we've done here. The experience was, I'd say, completely different.
Yeah.
Because what they did is they broke the barrier for events.
Yeah.
Where firstly, events would only be up to a certain scale. And then they went into arenas. They broke the arenas, they sold the arenas out. So from a dance, like kind of team and a performing side, it was pretty amazing because for me, most memorable event was the Olympics.
Right, okay.
So we did the closing ceremony and that was, I think it was 70,000 or something people.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that for me probably is the highlight.
Yeah.
Because the arrangement was on a different scale. And so I would probably say that doing the Diljit stuff, there's a few other things we've done, but he gave the children a chance to perform as well. Yeah.
So kids, the children that you take with you to these events, they probably, how the youngest one would be, what age?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I think it was like 6 to 8 years old or something like that.
So someone at that age probably don't realize, Diljit Dosanjh and Karan Aujla, they don't know, they're just dancing, right?
Yeah.
But then some of the kids, they may realize, or when they do realize, do they like brag about it? Do you know?
I mean, now all the kids know, right?
All the kids know.
Everybody knows now. So all the kids know now. And they completely love it.
Yeah.
They want to be there. They want to be on the stage. And the only thing that I'd say the kids wouldn't have experienced is large crowds.
Yeah.
So that'd be very nervous for them to get on the stage. It'd be very, even for us as,
it is. Even for us,
we'd be nervous for the children, nervous even for our performers.
Yeah.
But then once they're on the stage, then it's like a very proud feeling, very proud moment where, for their parents, and we're happy for their parents, we're happy for them because this is what they worked for. But it's a memory, like a memory that will last, for when they are, I guess, in their later years.
And if they know the scale of it, they then look forward to doing it again, isn't it? Yeah.
So that was the main thing. So when we do these tours with Diljit and Karan Aujla, now he's become, he's done very, very well at the moment.
Yeah.
it's the memories and the scale, the kind of excitement that it brings amongst all the dancers to be on the stage in front of everybody.
Yeah.
For us, it's the feeling of, pride as well. So yeah, we love it. Absolutely love it. And all the dancers love it as well.
Yeah, and I love the kids aspect to
Yeah.
it. So you know how when, like as adults, if we go to spaces like this, we're always conscious, oh, I may not do well, what's the other person next to me going to think about me? Like when we go to learn as well, so when you're talking about Bhangra. So do you see that in kids as well? Oh, I can't dance well, so what's the next kid to me? Kid next to me is going to say or think.
We try to keep egos away. So if someone is a bit egotistical and I'm best dancer in the world and the person next to me is not as good, we in our academy we split all the groups from beginners, intermediates, advanced. So that helped because we made that decision some time ago. So it shouldn't be someone that's the advanced level, showing someone that's beginner, hey, I'm so good.
Yeah.
And then it was naturally going to put off anyone that's starting.
Yeah. Thank you. Now, I remember something very interesting you said, before the camera started rolling. You said sometimes kids in vulnerable situation or in a vulnerable state, they open up to you guys, as in you being the teacher, more than to their parents. Talk to us more about it.
If a child really enjoys something, what they're doing, naturally, that teacher of the class, they might want to ask that teacher some questions because they build a bond with the teacher.
Yeah.
It's like a certain trust with the teacher. Yeah. Not everybody has it, but some kids may build that bond with the teacher. And that's where the teacher can offer good advice, or naturally where they wouldn't want to ask their parents, or if the teacher's not, if he's doesn't think it's right, then he'll say, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
But it's all in reason, though.
And did they listen to a teacher then?
Well, we like to think that they listen. But, that's the main thing. You can't never force anyone.
Of course not.
So it's just like advice. So we can offer the advice.
Yeah.
And then if they want to take the advice, it's good.
What about parents then? I think you did say that parents also sometimes come to you and ask for advice about their kids.
Yeah, so what's happened now is not all parents, but sometimes, like myself, I'd say I probably wouldn't listen to my dad. Probably I should have.
Yeah.
But if somebody that I trusted had told me something, I naturally will probably listen to him a little bit. And if he said, "Oh, listen to your dad," then I'll go listen to my dad.
Yeah.
But every person is different. Some more rebellious than others. But over the years, me specifically, I have tried to help people. I'd say, parents try to get through to the kids, or if I need to speak to the kids, then I'll speak to them, and then kind of make them listen a little bit. Can never force anybody.
Yeah, of course.
And then over time, whatever they're going through, touch wood, they get through it. And it's just advice.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to ask for advice, of course, we'd be there to help.
Yeah. Now, you very kindly shared, the moments when you felt probably when you were at your lowest, and you also shared when you felt the best. What does strength mean to you now?
Strength means, to me, resilience.
Yes.
Because when we're doing things, especially let's just say if we want to do something, it doesn't always go your way. You might get there eventually, but if you do something and you plan it A to Z and it goes A to Z, hey,
I know
that's amazing.
Happens.
But in an ideal world, that would be that
doesn't happen.
Yeah, doesn't always happen. But in I'd say today's world, stuff doesn't always go your way.
No.
So when it doesn't go your way, you got to be ready. You got to be prepared to face the challenges.
Yeah.
When things don't go your way. So it could be dealing with people, it could be dealing with situations, it could be financial situations. So whatever it is, and when it comes your way, you just got to handle it.
Just got to handle it. Yeah.
You got to handle it. You got to be strong.
Yes.
But strength means, it doesn't mean you just have to be.
Just move on. get on with it.
Yeah, you just got to get on with it. Yeah.
Get on with it.
And then you just got to move to the next step. If something doesn't work out, then just keep moving.
Yeah.
So for us, that's what we've always done. We've just kept moving, although we didn't want to do it. Things didn't work in the past over the years when the academy wasn't growing, when the girls were not joining.
Yeah.
And now we actually have a different dynamic where we have a lot of girls and some less. There's guys in some classes. So for us, it's always just welcome the challenges when they come.
Yeah.
And if something goes ideally, then we're happy for that.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the two 3 words is resilience. You've got to have positivity, optimism,
absolutely,
and what you said, the strength to continue to go through. So that's probably my take on this.
Right, Rees, we're going to move on to the next segment that I call Between the Lines. You can answer it with one line or one word, and I'm happy to take stories as well.
Okay.
Right, so the first question for you is, a moment that made you proud.
Olympics.
Something people misunderstand about Bhangra.
Okay, I might talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, please do.
Sometimes people think that when you're doing Bhangra, it takes the time out. So if I'm going to do my studies, I'm just talking, let's say, use the studies as an example. I'm not going to do the Bhangra because it's going to stop me from studying. But it's actually the other way around. So from my past experiences, my own past experiences, if you take that time, it actually helps you. So it's the break. So if you, let's say, break in the right place with your schedule, it actually helps you. It helps you. Because it's coming back to the endorphins and the dopamine and, like letting go of the stress. And it'll actually help you to move forward. Yeah, so Bhangra isn't just dance. Yeah. It's everything combined together. So those few things that I said, so it's the mental aspect of it that some people miss. So yes, it's a physical activity, but at the same time, it's the mental side of it as well, just like any dance. So if you're doing anything, it will actually help you. So that's what I would think about it.
One thing men don't say out loud, but should.
When they need help.
True.
Yeah. Ask for help when you need it.
Ask for help. Yeah. One thing you've learned from young people.
To stay current.
Okay. Well, you're learning Gen Z words and all that stuff.
You have to, because when they talk, otherwise you won't really know what's going on.
Okay. No, I know the answer to this one anyway, but I'm going to ask you, what keeps you going?
Passion.
Yes, I knew the answer.
Yeah.
A moment that made you proud.
A proud moment was when we performed at the closing ceremonies of the Olympics 2012, where we were in the center stage. And just before it was going to finish, we performed, the dancers ran in. And that's when I remember, as I was there myself performing, and when it finished, all the confetti, everything was, and I just remember looking up, and it's like the sea of confetti, thousands of people. And for me, that's a memory that will stay with me forever.
I'm picturing it now.
Yeah. So that was probably one of my proudest moments.
Nice.
As of now.
Very nice. Thank you. If this episode had a hashtag, what would that be? On the basis of conversation we had today.
I'd go back to my core word, and that's going to be hashtag passion, hashtag eternal optimism.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Okay. And last but not the least, who is one person you would like to watch on Reel for Real?
Karan Aujla.
Yeah. Karan Aujla, if you're listening, I'm going to try and reach out to you. Yeah. Okay. That's a great name. Okay. Now, thank you for sharing everything. I really enjoyed our conversation.
No problem.
Seriously.
Thank you for having me.
Now, if you have enjoyed our conversation and if you could relate to the conversation we had today with Rees, please tell us and tag us. It will mean a lot to us. Thank you for watching.